Hey everybody, this is Matt from MasterSketchup.com with part 4 of the SketchUp tutorial on how to build a shed. And if you followed part 1 through 3, you should have something like this so far. And in this video, I'm going to go over how to finish off the rafter tails and build the soffit. And we're also going to, we'll do this back gable wall as well. So we're going to work on the trim detail, finishing off the rafters, and then this back wall. So you should already have this rafter component created, and what we'll do is create a copy of it and bring it over to the other side. That way everything we do over here will be replicated exactly on the other side of the shed. So with the move tool, we'll grab the from any point. You start the move, tap Control to make a copy, and then tap the left arrow key to lock to the green axis. And you can bring it to any point, it doesn't matter right now. And then we'll just right click and go to flip along and then components green axis. Sorry, that was off screen a little bit. And then you can just grab this point here and bring it to the ridge. So what that did is it made an exact copy but mirrored. So if we come in here now and select this rafter, it's the same one over here, so it's an exact mirror. If we just spun the component around, when I select this one here, this one would have been highlighted. So you want to think about that whenever you're making copies of something. Do you want it to be inverted inside out, or is it okay to just spin it around, stuff like that. So by having this a component, like I said before, we can just make changes to one side and this side will automatically be taken care of. So in order to figure out how far we want to cut these rafters, the first thing we have to do is create a soffit and fascia detail that we can use to figure out the distance. So we want to jump inside this component, so double click to open this component. And we'll just draw with the rectangle tool, which is right here, and the letter R on your keyboard. We'll just use this plywood face here to create a rectangle. And you can see it went to 8 feet and 1/8 inch. And we want to determine the thickness of this this board. So we'll go comma 3/4 of an inch, enter. And I'm going to use 1/6 here, so I'll grab the push-pull tool, which is the letter P, and then start the pull, bring it out, and we'll go 5.5, so 5.5 inch, enter. So there's my soffit, and I want to put that into a group right away. We don't have to use a group because, I mean, we don't have to use a component because this group is already inside the component. So if we come over to this side, you can see it's already taken care of. So you don't need to be redundant with your components, since we only have one of these inside of this component here. So now we'll do the fascia. I'm going to use the same type of board, and actually just to make it easier to work with right now, I'm just going to move it down here temporarily, and I'll make a copy of this board since I'm using the same type of board, and then just bring it out here and then grab one of these handles to rotate it 90 degrees and then position it back here. So you can see how I use like 3 steps in order to move this, make a copy and then move it. So remember, you can always use multiple steps to move anything in SketchUp. Now we'll snap here because I want to have a little bit of a reveal. So right now I want to actually go to the blue axis. So I'll tap the up arrow, come down, finish the move, and then type in 1/4. So it gives me just a little bit of a 1/4 inch reveal. So now we can move this detail up to where we want it to go. And you could do a couple of things. You could just select one, hit Control, select the other, and then move them both together. But what I would do is I would just go ahead and select both of them and make a group, because you know that those are always going to move together. So you might as well just turn them into a group. So now we'll select this far corner and then hit the up arrow on your keyboard to lock it to the blue axis, and then you can come right here and lock it, finish the move right where it intersects with the rafters. And now we have a line we can reference to cut the rafters. So let's open up one of the rafter components, and we'll go ahead and use the line tool and cut that there, and then select this face with the push-pull tool, and you can delete that. And actually I need to move that up one more spot. So I just used the move tool and just moved it up 3/4 of an inch. And you can see how, since the axis is aligned parallel with the edge of the rafter, it's easy for me to reference the green axis of that rafter in order to move it that 3/4 of an inch. So now you can see we have both those sides taken care of. And let's go ahead and trim this ridge. So we'll just double click to open that, use the push-pull tool, and we'll just reference this rafter edge here. Now let's build one of these gable walls. So you want to make sure that you're outside of any group or component, because we're going to start fresh here. We're going to make our own gable component. So just grab the rectangle tool, come around, select there, and you can correct it 3.5 inch, so that resizes it, and then push pull. I was trying to actually reference that point. Sometimes if SketchUp isn't jumping where you want it to, you just need to orbit around to the other side, and now you can reference what you're trying to reference. Turn that into a group, and then now what we need to do is create a stud for the center and make a copy 16 inches apart, and then we need to trim each stud at the line of the rafter. So each one of these gable studs is going to be unique. So we'll start there, comma 1.5, enter, and then we want to push pull this to our highest point, since we're going to trim it after. So now we want to go ahead and turn that into a group. So triple click, right click, make group. So we're going to go ahead and make our copies, and I know I need one directly under the ridge, so I'm going to hit the left arrow key to lock the green axis, and since I referenced the center, I'm going to come right there, and if I hit right after that move, if I hit the division symbol, so / and the number 3 and enter, it'll automatically divide that by 3 spaces and make 3 copies in between. We can finish up the wall by doing the same thing here. So now we need to trim all of these studs, but first we actually want to, if we look at the shed, you'll notice that we actually used a stud on the flat horizontally instead of a vertical rafter. So we used a 2x4 laid flat for the top of that wall. So we're kind of combining the top plate and the rafter in one on these gable ends. So let's go ahead and select all of these rafters and create our gable group. And then we'll go ahead and enter that group, so double click, and we need to create that top plate. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab one of these studs, make a copy by hitting Control, and then we'll use the rotate tool to rotate that stud at this top corner. We'll go ahead and trim that, but first let's get rid of this overlapping rafter. So I'll just select that rafter and hit delete, since we don't we don't need it there anymore. And then we'll go ahead back into the group with that 2x4, and we'll come and reference that point. But then I need to select this bottom edge and use the move tool. And in this case right now I'm on the blue axis. I happen to be on the blue axis of this group, so I can just lock to the blue axis with the up arrow and reference this face to align that. And in this, on this upper side, I'll just go into the group and use the line tool to come down and intersect here, and then use the push-pull tool to get rid of that difference. And you want to make sure you just snap to a point. And then we'll make a copy of this. So we'll grab the move tool, hit control. We'll use the rotate tool to just rotate it around. And then now at this point what you want to do is just go into each one of these groups and edit them to wherever they intersect with the other geometry. So in this case there's an intersection there and there. Then I'll use the push-pull tool to delete, and we'll just go through each one and do that. Now don't forget, you can always, when you've used the push-pull tool, if you're making another push-pull of the same distance, you can always just double click and it'll push-pull to the same distance as the previous one. And now you should be all set with the gable end wall. Now we didn't use components for this gable wall because we're going to be putting in a door and a window on this front side, but we can still use it to give us a good starting point. So we'll go ahead and select it and make a copy of it for the front here. And I just realized I didn't put the shoe plate inside of that. So I'm going to go into the outliner here and take a look at what I have here. So this is the shoe and this is the wall. So I want to just drag this right in there. And I'm going to want to rename this as well. Gable wall. So you want to try to, every once in a while you want to come in here and check out the outliner and make sure everything is labeled so you don't get lost when you're trying to find stuff. We'll hit control for the copy and move it there. And we also need to just finish off by deleting those rafters. And now you're all set. So we'll finish off this tutorial with one more video showing you how to finish up the trim and add your roof details and the door and window. And as always, if you'd like to learn more about SketchUp, visit my website at mastersketchup.com.